Ayang maliliw, sa silanganan, alam ng puso sa ikip mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiging, sa manlulupi, di ka masisipin. Sa lagat at punok, sa simoy at sa langit mo magkakapay, inakang pula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang isa't ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nag-iigit, ang bituin na taraw na kailan pa may nabihiling. Lupa ng araw ng maraming pagsinapo ay lapit sa piling mo. Ang ligaya na pagkay mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Before we proceed with the webinar proper, we would like for you to take note of the following reminders. This webinar will be recorded. We will be keeping tab of the proceedings for this webinar for documentation purposes. You're free to leave if you feel uncomfortable that this session will be recorded. Please mute your microphone during the talk. We want to make sure that the speaker's voice is clear to everyone. We may opt to remove you if you don't follow this request. Refrain from taking pictures or videos of the talk. If you do so, you will be held accountable of data privacy violations if the copy you created leaks into other internet outlets. We wish to keep the identity of our participants private, so as yours as well. Please avoid using the annotation tool. Once the annotation tool is activated, you might unconsciously swerve your arrow towards the speaker's presentation and draw unnecessary lines that may block the participant's view on some texts and images on the slides. If you have questions while the talk is ongoing, you may put them in the chat box. After the talk, you will have a chance to ask your questions. We wish for you to only use the chat box rather than voice because of our time constraint. Don't forget to evaluate. Your inputs in the webinar will help us improve our next webinars. After you have answered the forms, you will be given a proof of participation. Also take note that the evaluation link will be opened right after the webinar and shall remain open for only 15 minutes. Our webinar is currently live streaming on our YouTube channel. For those watching through the YouTube Live, you will get your proof of participation by staying until the end of the session. We will be announcing the instructions at the live chat, so please stay tuned. Before we proceed with the webinar proper, we would like for you to take note of the following reminders. This webinar will be recorded. We will be keeping tab of the proceedings for this webinar for documentation purposes. You're free to leave if you feel uncomfortable that this session will be recorded. Please mute your microphone during the talk. We want to make sure that the speaker's voice is clear to everyone. We may opt to remove you if you don't.
Hello there. A pleasant morning to everyone. I am Erica and I'll be your host in today's NSTW event. You might be asking, what is NSTW and why are we celebrating it? The National Science and Technology Week is a celebration that highlights the significant contributions of science and technology to national development. It has since become a platform for heralding science and technology advocacy in the country. Held every fourth week of November, aside from webinars, there are also other activities like various awards given for basic and applied research, scientific meetings, technical and investment forums, technology demonstrations, and technical tours. For this year, UP Cebu has joined the celebration with 5 activities. We had 2 of them yesterday, which focused on research. Now today, the theme is technology. And this morning, we'll be talking about startups and the innovation ecosystem. UP Cebu has been in the forefront of this ecosystem, especially with the presence of UP Cebu in IT and the UP Cebu Stitch. And so today, we're going to learn more about the UP Cebu in IT, as well as discover more about the journey of one of its startups, the Mataverse. Now, to formally welcome and open today's program, let us hear from our dear UP Cebu Chancellor, Attorney Lisa D. Coro.
Thank you very much, Erica. Do I have a good audio? Okay. So again, good morning to everyone, especially to the Department of Science and Technology officials, specifically to Secretary Fortunato de la Peña and Undersecretary Rowena Guevara, and to the rest of the DOST team, to all our attendees, both from UP Cebu and outside. I know there are several of you who are here joining us. To our presenters, reactors, and all my colleagues in UP Cebu, thank you for being here with us again today on the second day of the 3-day series of UP Cebu's celebration this year of the DOST's National Science and Technology Week 2021. We have prepared a 3-day worth of knowledge sharing, which kicked off yesterday, wherein we had a very rich discussion and exchange on the various research initiatives undertaken by UP Cebu to help out communities o giunsa nato pag-abag ang atong mga komunidad. And most of these researches were generously supported by the DOST, from studies on marine heatwave under Project SHIPS, greenhouse gases emission for GHG project, Black Soldier Fly for waste management under BSF project, and solar cell efficiency. We also presented highlights on dissertations of our recently graduated PhDs. All this make us really proud because their outputs do not only help our communities, but even have global applications. Today and tomorrow, we will share the online teaching method used in the field of robotics and on how the creatives community had been assisted by the UP Cebu Fabrication Laboratory, or FabLab. But today, we share a technology developed in our very own technology business incubation facility, UP Cebu in it, which has a very special place in my heart. I directly supervise this technology business incubation facility, which helps out startups. This 3-day period had also been spearheaded by the TTBDO because we are hoping that with the technology or the patents, whatever are the outputs from the researches and dissertations of our professors, we may be able to share them in the community and find adopters who would be interested to use them. I hope you are all ready to learn and soak in as much as you can. And to our speakers, presenters, and reactors, thank you for your conscious effort to become more involved and responsive to our people's needs. As DOST Secretary Fortunato de la Peña stated in his keynote speech during the opening ceremony of the DOST NSTW 2021 last Monday, science and technology is crucial in addressing the pandemic, and for as long as there is science, there is hope. So let's start and watch the Mataverse, which will show and share with us the technology that had been developed inside the UP Cebu in it. Ayong buntag sa ato ang tanan. Back to you, Erica.
Thank you so much, Chancey. Now let us give our Chancellor a virtual applause. Now, thank you so much, Chancellor, for the warm welcome. And it is true that community success will always be a collaborative effort. And through innovation, there is always hope. Now, we also have a special speaker for today. She is the Undersecretary for Research and Development of the Department of Science and Technology. She holds a BS Electrical Engineering and MSEE degrees from UP Diliman and PhD from University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. Her area of specialization is speech and audio signal processing, time frequency analysis, and synthesis. Undersecretary Guevara served as the first woman dean of the UP College of Engineering and has been the recipient of several awards in engineering and education, including the Metrobank Foundation Search for Outstanding Teachers in the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, give a round of virtual applause to Dr. Wena Cristina Guevara.
Department of Science and Technology Secretary Fortunato T. de la Peña, Attorney Lisa D. Coro, Chancellor of the University of the Philippines, Cebu, members of the DOST family and the UP Cebu family, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, magandang agham po sa ating lahat. I'm quite pleased to be with all of you today as we kick off the nationwide celebration of the National Science and Technology Week, or NSTW 2021, with a regional event led by the University of the Philippines, Cebu. For more than 6 decades, the NSTW has been a platform for our outstanding scientists, researchers, inventors, and innovators to celebrate the role of science and technology in national development. The need for science remains during the pandemic and beyond. This year's theme, Agham at Teknolohiya, Tugon sa Hamon ng Panahon, illustrates the need of the nation to close the gaps in health, nutrition, business, livelihood, transportation, peace, and protection through science, technology, and innovation. Since 2020, COVID-19 has challenged government leaders to rethink strategies to maintain safe, healthy, and prosperous communities. It was also a time when other branches of government freely collaborated with DOST in creating new strategies to advance their goals. It is worthy to note that the Philippines, through the DOST, is part of the worldwide network of the United Nations Solidarity Trials for Therapeutics and for Vaccines, wherein scientific data from each member country is given due credit and significance. Noting the need for readiness in terms of availability and supply of vaccines, we are investing in the establishment of the Virology and Vaccine Institute of the Philippines, or VIP, the country's premier research facility encompassing all areas in the study of viruses and viral diseases for humans, animals, and plants. Through this endeavor, we're hopeful that the Philippines will soon be at par with the rest of the world in vaccine development. We're also pushing for the continuation of the Science for Change program through the Science for Change bill. Given the rapid demand for innovation during the pandemic, the bill aims to address disparity in R&D funding in the regions and lack of R&D in the private sector. The Science for Change bill would allow DOST to build on the milestones achieved by the program since 2016, which includes the funding of 38 niche centers in the regions for R&D spread out in 17 regions, including UP Cebu's Center for Environmental Informatics, or CENV. These NICERs are considered innovation hubs in the region, providing capacity building initiatives throughout the country. Another sub-program, the RD Lead, deployed 42 RD leaders in 16 regions to share their expertise and promote regional development through R&D. For business innovation, the Science for Change sub-program, Collaborative Research and Development to Leverage Philippine Economy, or CRADLE, created fruitful partnerships between private companies and the academe and RDIs. We're also assisting private companies in their R&D efforts through the Business Innovation through Science and Technology, or BIST sub-program. R&D is not a small investment, but it is an investment that provides big returns. Beyond infrastructure and programs, the DOST also invests in human resource. This is the reason why DOST recently launched the S&T Fellows Program, which aims to further capacitate the DOST agencies in fulfilling our vision of providing world-class scientific, technological, and innovative solutions leading to higher productivity and better quality of life. It has always been the goal of R&D to deliver lasting change for the benefit of the people. COVID-19 may have crossed borders and created new health concerns. The same process can be applied by our Filipino science community by breaking barriers, opening channels of communication to share research, data, and expertise to ultimately defeat the pandemic. I'm glad to share this day to celebrate NSTW with you, and I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincerest gratitude to our Filipino scientists, researchers, engineers, chemists, and project leaders. Thank you for making change happen and equipping the country through your innovations in fighting, surviving, and hopefully soon defeating COVID-19. Maraming salamat at muli magandang agham po sa ating lahat.
Thank you so much, Yusek Guevara. It is true that the COVID-19 pandemic has profoundly influenced the lives of most people on this planet. It has changed our daily activities. Amidst these massive disruptions, a combination of short and long-term innovations and responses can provide an array of hope for various sectors. And we are so thankful for these innovations because it helped us on our recovery in all national aspects. Now, to introduce our keynote speaker, he is a serial entrepreneur in the field of technology and innovation, co-founding and operating tech companies like Mataverse and Elridge. With successful pursuits in RD projects, immersive technology, digital transformation, public and private partnerships, and web and mobile app development, he actively produces spin-offs and products relevant to society's pressing needs, such as during the COVID-19 pandemic. Our speaker combines 15 years of experience in technology and management with his certifications in viral, social media, digital marketing planning, and experiential marketing to find and nurture business opportunities in the competitive global arena of technology. He also conducts workshops and takes speaking engagements in topics relevant to his experience and expertise. In his spare time, he likes to engage in calming activities such as cooking and motorsports. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of virtual applause to Mr. Ryan Tan Yu.
Hi, we are Mataverse, a technology company specializing in immersive technologies such as virtual reality and 360-degree media, funded by the DOST TAPI Technicom program. We are based in Cebu, an incubatee of the University of the Philippines Technology Business Incubator. Today, I will take you to a trip down our memory lane through the alley of how we started as a company, what has changed through the years, the corners of impact we created and continue to create, underlined by how the Technicom funding of our R&D activities has helped us attain our goals and milestones in service of our mission, which is to usher in the commercial adoption of immersive technology in the Philippines. You'll notice that all throughout our journey, our focus has been on the application of immersive technology in the MSME sector and not on one-off large contract projects for one specific private entity, but rather the application and applicability of these solutions across a great number of similar domestic businesses belonging to the same industries. So, in 2015, Google released Google Cardboard by giving away millions of these contraptions, these VR headset devices to the public. At the time, that was the biggest push into kickstarting the industry of immersive technology. Down here in Cebu, as a small team, we recognized this as a pivotal emergence of a new medium with the potential to usher us into a new era of technology. And so we shipped parts, devices, lenses, and attempted to fabricate VR headsets to sell here in the Philippines. We started with simply assembling our own version of the Google Cardboard, but as the months went by, we kept spending more and more and developing alternative means to achieve the ideal outcome, which was, of course, to get more people to try VR without spending too much. As a small company, that is, because after all, we were just a small startup with big dreams of being a key part of the mass adoption of VR in our country. Our process of designing, conceptualizing, and prototyping devices had started to take on a life of its own. From a simple, low-cost VR headset that is just another version of the Google Cardboard, it grew into also completing the census by also developing prototypes for immersive audio and VR controller. We also conceptualized our own 360-degree panoramic rig in hopes of releasing it for cheap and getting more people to use their smartphones for 360-degree panoramic photography, believing that more content will lead to more users. We explored new ways to utilize immersive technology in existing or old business practices, such as events. One of our contraptions was designed to live stream a 360-degree video by using a GoPro mounted on a motor that mimicked the head swivel of the user or the viewer who is viewing the live feed of the GoPro through a VR headset. So by this point, we had very little, if any, understanding of how this mission can be sustainable or impactful in any meaningful sense. After a few missed opportunities to supply headsets, understandably due to our unproven capacity to produce, we sought other ways to sustaining and scaling our mission, and that's how we wound up with the OST's TAPI Technicom program. After spending months, if not almost a year, putting together our proposal and the plans and the reviews that it had to go through, rigorous process involving peer reviews, panel discussions, technical scrutiny, feasibility studies, and other audits and processes and qualification mechanisms necessary to ensure the viability and the success of our proposed project. After all of that, we were endorsed by DOST Assured for funding by TAPI Technicom for funding of our research and development activities. It was also through this process that we started to develop a better understanding of the market. Potential clients who were willing enough to try VR as a medium for their promotional efforts did not exactly know what to do with just the headsets or only hardware. They also needed content or whatever they see inside the headset, and also the software, which is the program that runs the entire experience. So our proposed project evolved into, instead of just providing hardware, it evolved into a holistic approach, which now focuses on hardware, content, and software as a kit. So our proposed project became the VR kit. We packaged this otherwise novel and unfamiliar technology, at least to the majority of decision makers we spoke with, into a figurative kit that decision makers or business owners can easily wrap their heads around. This hurdle of getting through the business's doors was made at least more manageable by offering a VR kit with a one-time fee, rather than talking about how everything works, why one cannot exist without the other, talking about hardware and software and content, let alone the complexity of subscription-based software, content production as a service, agreement, sale or rental of hardware equipment. So instead of diving into the complexity of all that, we packaged everything into a single page proposal and we called it a VR kit. So most of these clients that were willing to work with us could at least easily wrap their heads around whatever it is that we were offering. So we continued our journey to realize what we set out to accomplish. The commercial, which is, of course, the commercial adoption of immersive technology in the Philippines, but this time with a systematic and methodical approach with specific target industries and quantifiable deliverables. We continued the development of our VR kit while we conducted our research activities. One of our target industries was tourism, especially amplified by the effects of the pandemic on this industry. Tourism was especially ripe for digital transformation. We kicked off our project, our R&D activities with a partnership with the Cebu province, which gave us unhindered access to all LGUs and all tourism destinations within its jurisdiction. Through this continuous 2-year process of operating in all kinds of shooting conditions, we learned a lot. Everything from the right tripod to use, made of what kind of materials that accounted for the wear and tear and water damage, of course, by exposure to water, as well as to the camera. Also, the loss of radio signal in between canyons, essentially disabling any aerial 360-degree camera. Also, the treacherous winds and the lenses, the number of lenses that it broke, as well as the post-processing and accounting for natural light, for shadows, the management of power and storage, especially in remote areas, the inability to use remote controls for aerial and underwater 360-degree or underwater 360, and the need to get creative with its automated features. Rewarded by millions of views and thousands of submissions to, or after thousands of submissions to Google Maps, which continue to serve a growing number of users each day, we managed to bring immersive technology to tourism in the form of digital tourism and virtual tours. Speaking of virtual tours, even before the tourism industry, there was this industry that immersive technology appears to be most suitable for, and that's real estate. Alongside tourism, this was the industry in which we believed we could create the most impact. First, with our virtual tour builder for web, we started working with stakeholders in real estate. Maximizing the flexibility of our software, we were lavish in spending software development hours and production redos in order to furnish and optimize our virtual tours with as many features as applicable, we thought. These features included switches and sliders to turn lights on and off virtually or within the virtual space, switching between furnished and bare by clicking on a switch button, turning daytime into nighttime and vice versa, and many other features that were mostly customizations requested by the real estate decision makers. We also started developing relationships with the country's major real estate stakeholders, developing and implementing industry-wide features such as photo enhancement and photo manipulation that allow us to take actual photos for use in the virtual tour of properties yet to be built, among others. Alongside our two industries as our primary commitment, we are continuously engaging with other industries to explore and implement a variety of relevant alternative applications. With the world's sudden interest in NFTs, we created a virtual art exhibit. In the current decade's dependence on e-commerce, we explored v-commerce or virtual commerce. We worked with co-working spaces, private tour operators, chambers, and other organizations such as nonprofits and universities. We also used our aerial 360-degree cameras in partnership with Mayor Christina to help enforce quarantine guidelines at the height of ECQ, that was last year, earning nationwide praise as an LGU best practice against the pandemic. We also virtualized islands in Cebu, Bohol, Negros. We virtualized museums and other cultural sites in the name of preservation of nature and cultural heritage. We digitized an entire 15-kilometer river in order to provide useful, actionable insights for the reliable supply of clean water for the majority of resident households in Cebu Island. We are also collaborating with owners and operators of alfresco dining sites as our contribution to the new normal of dining and domestic tourism. The possibilities are endless. Unlike when Mataverse was a mere idea 6 years ago, or even as a formalized operating business corporation 3 years ago, there are now more industries and applications than we have ideas for. Every month, just as we think we've stabilized and routinized our operations, we find new ways of doing things, new methodologies that are more efficient and higher yielding, new innovations within the grasp of our resources and our day-to-day. We always find new industries that can benefit from our mission of ushering the commercial adoption of immersive technology in the Philippines. As of today, we have spin-offs on the horizon with different stakeholders in industries like modular furniture, interior design and fit outs, investment promotion boards and chambers, export, trade, and commerce organizations. We are limited to only the combined capacity of the few people we have had in the team since day number one. Our first spin-off, which is Suroy Cebu, is now its own company with its own more specific mission and vision, which is a digital map that serves as a virtual tour of the entire Cebu Island, which has also now gained interest and initiated projects with other LGUs inside and outside of Region 7. Furthermore, this platform is not a one-way brochure type website from the 90s for digital tourists to visit. This is an ongoing study on how we believe the digital audience will be experiencing the web someday, how much they're willing to, and validating the idea of using the sensors of their viewing devices, whether it's a mobile phone or a tablet, in their website experience. We believe that our loyalty to our personal computers expand their value beyond a simple two-dimensional screen that we operate with our messy fingers, rather than just a simple flat surface. I believe that these devices can serve as a portal into a full experience, a whole another world, a window into a whole different metaverse, or the Mataverse, if you will. Our company started with an idea, some grit, some wit, some luck, and some faith. Our execution has bent in 4 different places. The methods have changed, the goalposts moved, but the mission remained. With DOST, we are positioned to be a major contributor today, more than ever, to the mission of ushering in the commercial adoption of immersive technology in the Philippines. I'm Ryan, founder and CEO of the Mataverse Incorporated. I wish you all a wonderful 2022 and see you in the Mataverse. Thank you.
A virtual applause to our keynote speaker for today. Thank you so much, Mr. Yu, for sharing your advocacy and vision to us. It is truly uplifting to know how these amazing innovations engage in the exploration of alternatives and possible solutions to pressing problems, especially now in the pandemic context. and of course, how it offered a new perspective in seeing things virtually. Now, Mataverse will share a video of the work they have done for UP Cebu in developing a virtual tour. Let us all witness the video. No, it is amazing, right? Imagine experiencing and seeing the university without being there physically. Not only that, learning whatever the university has to offer in a single virtual tour. You have their information pop-outs that made us know the university even more. Oh, it really, made me miss the university so much. And I hope that your virtual experience was great. Now, before we move into the next part of the program, we will be having special shout outs to um, Legazpi City National High School in Albay, Philippines. And we also have here from Gigakit National School of Home Industries in Surigao del Norte Division. Hello there. And also, at this moment, we have also invited a guest to give his comment on the presentation done by Mr. Ryan and the Mataverse. He is a senior science research specialist of the DOSE PCIEERD. He graduated with a degree in chemical engineering here in Cebu at CIT and finished his Master's of Science in Innovation and Business at the Asian Institute of Management. Ladies and gentlemen, let us hear from Engineer Edward Paul Apico.
Mayong buntag sa tanan. Let me first extend my congratulations to the UP Cebu Technology Business Incubator for this event in celebration of the National Science and Technology Week 2021. I would also like to thank you for selecting me as a reactor to provide comments and insights to the video presentation of Ryan Tanyu of Mataverse. I have known Ryan even before he was able to get funding from the DOST. Every time we have events or sessions in UP Cebu or at the TBI, he was always there. Back then, he would call his company MataVR, and he was always proud about their startup company and their innovations. I've always seen his potential to become a notable startup founder, so I wasn't surprised that he secured funding from the DOST. While watching the video, it made me realize how Ryan and his team have gone so far. I'm greatly impressed with their progress and how they continuously innovate. I also learned that immersive technologies can be used in so many different applications, from real estate to tourism and even in e-commerce. I also appreciated the fact that Ryan and his team reached out to local government units to offer help, especially during the pandemic. These are the types of success stories that we want to see in our startups. We always want them to create societal impact and benefit the Filipino people. On behalf of the DOSTP Shared, I would like to congratulate Ryan and the entire Mataverse team for their milestones. Your success is our success, and we're excited for the greater things that will be coming your way. We hope to have more startups coming from the DOST incubators following your footsteps. To all the startups and young entrepreneurs who are listening, I would highly encourage you to visit our technology business incubators. We have a total of 48 TBIs all over the country, and we have 2 in Cebu, the one in UP Cebu TBI, and the Cebu Institute of Technology TBI. The TBIs provide facilities and services to startups to help them grow and become successful. The Mataverse is a great example of a startup that was supported by our TBI, and we hope to produce more Ryans and Mataverses in the near future. I'd also like to take this opportunity to promote our Startup Grant Fund program, which will be opening again next year. We will be funding startups for the research and development activities. So please follow the Shared official Facebook page for announcements. Again, dagang salamat sa inyong tanan and hope you are all safe. Amping.
Salamat, Engineer Edward Paul Apico, for that reaction and for contextualizing everything that Mr. Ryan has just shared a while ago. Now, if you have questions for Mr. Ryan, please have it in the chat box. You can directly message me, or you can also speak if you wish to. Now, a special shout outs to people in Batangas and from Notre Dame, RVM College of Cotabato. Now, Mr. Ryan, there's a question for you here. Is the VR tech of Mataverse capable of showing a specific painting's details like you are really inside a art gallery?
Yes, to a limited degree. Well, first of all, thank you for the question, and of course, the entire UP TBI team for not only um, presenting or allowing us to present our journey, and but also for incubating us since the beginning. And of course, to Sir Ja and his whole team, and Sir Edward for highlighting our his reaction to our technology. So to answer the question, Ms. Erica, what we are doing is, I mean, just short of actual experiencing an actual art exhibit, we're not bold enough to claim that we can replace that experience, right, of actually going to an exhibit. What the VR kit can do is, to a certain degree, at least simulate the experience of being there, of being in an art exhibit, and that we've done in the Maria Cacao virtual art exhibit. That's what we did by creating a virtual environment where the artworks were presented. So we can forward a link as well, but you can also go to casagorordomuseum.org, and you'll find there the virtual exhibit of Maria Cacao.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ryan. And there's also another question here. Like, what can we expect for this innovation in the future? Like, they are very excited and interested on this.
Well, aside from what we can promise, what we have been relentless in pursuing, and we still are actively pursuing. The first and foremost, you can expect more collaborations and more industries that may not have yet a specific use for the industries or for the immersive technology, like, for example, the exporting industry, other, like, even the medical, well, of course, the education sector. There are many more industries that immersive technology has not yet tapped, and that is what we are actively pursuing, which is to find more industries with more and relevant and pressing need for immersive technology. And of course, we are going to continue our research and development activities, cover more ground after the thousands of photos submitted to Google Maps to expand the archive of 360 photos. We're growing to more islands. So I've done Bohol, Cebu, but of course Negros, and more under Region 7 in the very near future.
Yes, that's acknowledged, Mr. Ryan. And since Mr. Ryan also mentioned a while ago about Casa Gorordo, there's also a link placed in the chat box for you to also witness Casa Gorordo virtual tour. Now, there's another interesting question here, Mr. Ryan. How affordable is your kit, or is it the whole package?
That's correct. We have we've exerted a lot of focus into packaging this otherwise novel technology. So to answer the question of how much, it varies from industry to industry. There are industries such as real estate, for example, that where you can expect virtual tours to be very relevant and so very frequent, and now being used more in this industry more than others. So for that industry, for example, we can offer a year's worth of hosting the virtual tour online and embedding it into their website starting at 20,000 a month, or rather 20,000 one time. We also have clients who are interested in keeping the virtual tour published for longer. And it is through that, and because of that, we can charge higher. But that's just for real estate. There are other stakeholders, or other industries such as tourism, where we charge close to nothing. We actively pursue these collaborations through, and by nature, we offer our virtual tours that may have a high upfront cost, but we charge more partnership, or we charge in a partnership nature, where only when they get bookings through their tourism sites or through the virtual tour do we earn. So I'm saying that we're very flexible. We have different ways of charging and different packages, different rates, but all in the service of the mission, which is the mass adoption of this immersive technology.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ryan. Now, I see that there are no further questions, and we are very grateful to know everything about this kit and what it has to offer in the present, and also very excited to see what it can offer in the future. Now, Mr.
Thank you so
Ryan
much.
mentioned, yes. Now, Mr. Ryan also mentioned earlier that Mataverse is an incubator of UP Cebu Init. Now, to share about TBIs and what UP Cebu Init is all about, let us all welcome the incubator manager of UP Cebu Init, Mr. Jason Niepa, rather. A round of applause, please.
Thank you for that, Erica, especially with the correction of the name. No? Very much appreciated. So again, I hope everyone had fun listening to Ryan's presentation and the video of Mataverse. As they keep mentioning, Mataverse is part of UP Cebu Init and under its incubation program. So I'll just share a bit about what UP Cebu Init is all about and how it can help you start on your journey towards becoming a startup. So Erica, is the slides okay now?
Sir.
Okay, so the journey of the UP Cebu Business Incubator for Information Technology, or UP Cebu Init, started sometime in the 2010s. It started as a project that was made possible through a partnership between the University of the Philippines Cebu and the Department of Science and Technology. So the goal then was to help technology-based businesses by providing them with different resources, services, and facilities that were needed, especially during their development stage. And the hope was through these different programs of the TBI, these firms or these startups will be able to leave the incubation program financially viable, able to compete in the market, and of course, able to sustain their operations. So the project ended sometime in late 2012, early 2013, and unlike for some other projects, UP Cebu Init officially became part of UP Cebu, and big thanks to UP Cebu. Not only is it a unit or an office, but we actually have a business incubator facility, which is at the third floor of the Arts and Sciences building. So since its initial launch back in 2010, UP Cebu Init has been able to achieve some milestones that it is really proud of. So, for example, it has managed to help at least 60 startups by joining them into the program. Half of those actually have been able to graduate or enter the market. So this include the likes of Cartonata. We have 98 Labs, Pindoco, Innopub, and Physics Research, as well as Rameses. Right now, we're still helping up-and-coming startups, although they have their own products like Payroller. And of course, as you've already heard, there is also Mataverse. So Mataverse, again, was part of our incubation program. Another milestone was that despite having a relatively small staff, with the help of our administration, especially Chancellor Coro, we were able to take charge and lead the team that was responsible for the first ever National TBA Summit held back in 2017 here in Cebu City. So that summit saw different government agencies, different startups, and even different TBIs visit Cebu and discuss what was happening in the innovation ecosystem, what opportunities were available for startups, etc. No? So that was a highly successful event, and actually the latest TBI Summit was held just last week. UP Cebu Init is also proud of the fact that we are a self-sustaining facility. So our operations are financed mainly by our revenue. And of course, our biggest milestone is being granted the Gawad Pangulo Award for Excellence in Public Service. So with that background, so what is it that UP Cebu does? No? So our program, we made sure that it is in line with the beliefs and principles of UP Cebu. So we started off with nurtured to create. And like the university, UP Cebu Init believes in nurturing ideas. And this is exemplified by its pre-incubation program. So what do we need from you in this pre-incubation program? All we need is an idea. So ganyan lang, no? It's an idea, nothing else. So if you have an idea for an app, for a product, or for a business, then you can approach us and then we can help discuss it. Because the idea here is we will help you fine-tune this idea through trainings, through mentorships, with the goal of eventually you launching your own startup. So at the end of this incubation program, we expect that you should have at least an initial prototype, whether it's an actual product or it's a software app or a web software. And then we also expect that you have a business plan as well as registered with either DTI and the SEC. And this is going to be important, which I'll discuss in a bit. Right now, UP Cebu is currently helping student teams. We have Team ADL, so they're developing product aimed at road safety. So we're now at the stage of finalizing their business plan as well as their intellectual property, in particular the patent for their invention. We also have Team Spark, who's developing an e-commerce platform. And in their case, we're helping them develop the initial prototype as well as coming up with the business plan as well. So we hope to have these two teams registered by the end of the year or early next year. We're also helping in our pre-incubation, Team Lift. They're developing a product that is aimed at helping the aviation industry. No? So, and we're happy to announce that Team Lift won third place in the Philippine Startup Challenge last week. No? So this is the national, no? So they started competing at the region level and then they won at the national level. So we're helping them incubate and going through the process of the business plan. They already have a prototype. So right now, we're now at their business plan because we're now looking at getting investors for their product. So that's Team Lift. And then UP Cebu is also inspired to innovate. And for the TBI, this refers to our main incubation program. And unlike the pre-incubation program, we now require that the team has at least founders or a management team. You need to have some prototype, and of course, you need to have business registration. So as I mentioned earlier, the business registration is important because while you're going to still be undergoing trainings like and even mentorships, the goal now is a bit different no? Because number one, since you already have the prototype, you have everything in place, under the incubation program, for example, we're going to help you come up with a marketing plan, a strategy for your marketing plan on how you're going to enter and compete in the market. We'll also help you develop your product even further so that it stands out from the competition. Now, while UP Cebu Init cannot give you money in terms of funding, we actually can help you connect with potential investors. We can help with the preparing for your proposal to get funding from government agencies like the OST, DTI, and even the ICT. And this is where the importance of being a registered business comes in, because right now, in order for you to get funding, you need to be registered. The funding agencies actually need to know that you're really operating as a business or as a startup. So that's why it's always emphasized that when you enter the incubation program, there should be at least some form of business registration or some legality to it. To this end, under the incubation program, we're congratulating two of our incubatees, which is Oh My Genie. They're a online shopping platform, as well as Platform Technologies, which is developing logistics for farm to table. The two startups recently received approval for funding for their particular project. So it's like what Mataverse did. So they have their own specific projects and they received funding. And we're hoping that they can start on their project by January. And finally, UP Cebu, and even the University of the Philippines itself, has always been about service. And we are always destined to serve. And in this case, we have a lot of other services aside from the pre-incubation and incubation program. So we offer virtual and physical offices. So the virtual office is some sort of like they can use our business address as their official address. And it has been a big help for some startups and even MSMEs during the pandemic. We also have facilities. Of course, right now we're not allowing their use, but pre-pandemic, we had training rooms, we had co-working spaces that startups and even up-and-coming innovators can use. We also offer other services like webinars in the likes of intellectual property training or even IP protection. So we can help you file patents for your product, or if you're an academic institution or a company, we can conduct trainings related to intellectual property. We also conduct trainings on business plans and a business model canvas, along with evaluation of your product. So right now we're working, UP Cebu Init is working on a way to evaluate software and apps, because that has been seen as one of the difficulties, especially when it comes to discussing with investors. And if you recall, earlier we mentioned that the original goal of UP Cebu Init was to help technology-based startups, but since then we've expanded our services to help MSMEs, particularly those what we call as the traditional MSMEs. So we try to help them get a digital presence. So we help a women's group back in the Anbantayan. So we not only help them with their digital presence, but we even started helping them come up with the branding for their product, and then slowly coming up with some digital marketing. So this was a pause for a while due to the pandemic and some of the health protocols, but we hope to continue this training by next year. We also have the student program wherein we accept on-the-job trainings from different schools and universities, be it from Region 7 or even from other regions. And one of our main partners has always been the Notre Dame RVM College of Cotabato. So they've been sending their OJT program to us now. So for that, we're also thankful to them for their trust in sending their students to us. So in terms of plans, right now one of the plans, there is what we call as the HERIT research project. So the goal of this project is to come up with a regional consortium that's aimed at helping and improving innovation in the region. So in this case, this is for Region 7. So this is a partnership between UP Cebu Init, the Wildcats Innovation Labs of CIT, and the Synergy TBI of Silliman. So this project is right now headed by Silliman University. And another plan is, if you've been following the news, we've been slowly improving in our global innovation index ranking. And for us here in UP Cebu Init, our plan is to be more aggressive in the sense that we want to make our presence felt even more in the local innovation system, not just for our own benefit, but more for the sake of the startups that need to grow so that we can help them in their journey, how to get funding, how to come up with their products, etc. So that's basically the plan. So for those of you who want to know more about the program or you're interested to join the TBI program, so you can always email us at cebuinit.upcebu@up.edu.ph. So thank you for that, Erica.
Thank you so much, Sir Jason, for the information shared. UP Cebu Init has really gone beyond nurturing startups to actively starting startups. More importantly, in developing solutions in every different business areas to address challenges in the marketing landscapes. Everything presented today serves as an inspiration for us to pursue more collaborations with startups who will lead the future of innovation in the country, especially since solutions and opportunities await for innovative startups who would like to thrive in the new normal setting. Tinuod yun di ay nga nurtured to create, inspired to innovate, and always destined to serve. Now we have some questions here for you, Sir Jason. You have mentioned OMG. Was it recently cited for an award?
Yes, no, for OMG and Platform Tech, these are new funding. So they just signed their MOA and hopefully they'll get their funding by December. So this is a one-year project for both startups. So as I'd just like to know that as mentioned by Edward of the OSTP shared, they'll be opening up new grant proposals for next year. So again, if you're a startup and you need our help, so you can just always communicate with us.
Yes, true. So if UP Cebu would really love to help together with its partners in setting up everything for you, because we're always living to our vision to create, to innovate, and of course to serve. Now, I think there are no further questions for the talk, Mr. Jason. I think everyone really appreciated everything they just heard today. Now, for the evaluation and certificates, yes, there will be evaluation reminders here that your e-certificates will be automated, so you have to make sure to type the correct spelling of your name since this will reflect on your certificates. Also, please be mindful in typing your email addresses because it is where you will receive your certificates. We suggest that you keep a copy of your response in the evaluation for you to verify if you made a mistake. Now, normally it will just take 3 minutes. After submitting, you will then receive your certificate. But someone here, I think Miss Noel, will give you a link to the evaluation form. There, so the evaluation link is already posted in our chat box. You have to click that one and then just wait for around 3 minutes and then you will then get your certificate. There's a question here. Address, ilang oras po itong seminar? Need po kasing ilista kung ilang hours po yung seminar na we attended. Sir Jason?
I think we're almost done naman siguro, Erica, no? Because we're now at the evaluation link part.
Yes.
But just to remind you, we also have another session this afternoon, which is about robotics and online learning. So I hope you also attend that one.
Yes, true. We also have one exciting webinar in the afternoon session. It's about robotics, especially in the pandemic, teaching robotics in the pandemic setting. Now, if there are no further questions, I would leave you to Sir Jason for our closing remarks, and right after which, the UP Naming Mahal hymn will follow.
Okay, so hello again, everyone. So it's me again. So of course, now I'd like to thank everyone for attending this webinar where we showcased the journey taken by Mataverse from inception to right now their success, and of course the role that UP Cebu in it, and of course UP Cebu played in that journey and in the innovation system as a whole. This webinar, UP Cebu is one with UST in celebrating the National Science and Technology Week with this year's theme, Agham at Teknolohiya Tugon sa Hamon ng Panahon. And as previously mentioned, yesterday we had the webinars on the research, which I like to think was the Agham part. And today, with the TBI and the innovation ecosystem, and then later the robotics, it's clear that we're now at the Teknolohiya portion of the event. So again, we're UP Cebu through the UP Cebu Init and UP Cebu Stitch is always here to help startups, and we know, of course, that the startups are there, what they can do for the economy and what they need to grow. So again, if you need guidance, or if you're interested, you can always email us. So again, thank you for attending today's webinar, and good day to everyone.
Thank you so much, Sir Jason. Now, we will be having a photo op right after the UP Naming Mahal hymn. like requesting everyone to open your cameras for the photo op, and Miss Vanessa will facilitate the picture taking. So let us see your beautiful smiles, beautiful smiles rather.
Hi everyone, good morning. So I'm Vanessa from the PIO office, and we have 3 pages of photos to go through. So we don't know what page we'll be landing on, so smile lang tayo lahat. Okay, waiting for page 1 to fill up. Okay, sige. For page 1, mag-picture na tayo. Sige. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, page 2. Smile lahat. And then page 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming, and we hope to see you in this afternoon session. And of course, we would like to thank the working team, and of course, acknowledge our Chancellor for staying in the whole program. Thank you so much, and we hope that you will be having a great day ahead. Thank you so much, everyone.